as is 3D Dennis Scott. I'm Matt Weiner. Good to have you there as well. Pretty easy to do my job right now because really I just have to say Jayson Tatum.
Jayson Tatum, we talked about in the pregame show, he had to, come out for 40 or 50. I was teasing saying 60, but he gave me 50, Zeke. I'll take it. But like he said in the interview, he had to be the best player on the floor to set the tone. We talked about Evan Fournier. He made his first three. He made himself feel good. But it was all about Jayson Tatum being in attack mode and putting that pressure on the Wizards tonight.
Yeah, Zeke, this was interesting because really Boston didn't play a great offensive game. They shot under 40%. Even with Kemba Walker going for 29, they needed most of that 50 for Jayson Tatum, which might give you pause moving forward, but worked tonight.
Yes, they did. And Matt, he knew exactly what he had to do. And, 3D earlier said, he's got to go and get 60. Well, he went and got 50. And, getting 50 points in an NBA playoff game, that's not easy to do. I thought the defense was designed to really, put a lot of pressure on Tatum. But to his credit, what he was able to do was find the open spots, stay aggressive, attack the basket, got to the foul line 17 times, made 17 of the 17 free throws that he took. He just played a magnificent game all around from an offensive standpoint, and they needed every bit of it. I thought with 8 minutes to go in the game, when Washington had cut it to 8, with Westbrook on the line being 4 for 14, I thought Westbrook would start to get it going. But Tatum was just too much, and he sustained his effort and his scoring ability all the way throughout the game.
32 of that 50 after halftime. 23 of it came in the third quarter when he really heated up.
Yeah, he heated up, Matt, and he gave, he took whatever the defense gave him. At first you thought he was going to be a jump shooter. He put the ball on the floor. He would give the ball up and get it back. So he really let you know his offensive game was really playing well tonight. So we look at this video. Just watch his patience. We know he's good off the dribble, but not forcing it. Wait, you back up. That's just too much space. We know he can knock down a stand shield jump shot. Here in the little half-court set, great screen by Tristan Thompson. Then you go ahead and attack Robin Lopez and get to the basket. Now he's in his groove. You play some good half-court defense. Now, look at the miscommunication. I think there's a mouse in the house, Matt and Zeke. Come on, I'm shooting over a chair. Ish, I love you, little fella, but no, he's just too tall. You get the bounce and the roll. Look at the shake. That's the Kobe Bryant right there, Matt. Little Kobe. But right here, now check this out, Matt. Patience. I see I got bird times on me. No, wait. Yes, most guys go too fast, Matt and Zeke, you know this. I'm under control now. I'm feeling good about myself. That's what we love so much about Jayson Tatum as we look at the shot chart.
It's the shot chart presented by Mountain Dew, to be specific, and the second half shot chart to take it a step further than that.
Ooh, look at that.
17 and 3 of 6 from three-point range when he scored 32 of those 50. On his way to recording the first ever 50-point game in a play-in. You can say that a lot tonight.
Yeah, I keep saying playoff. I mean play in, yes. Thank you, Matt, for correcting me.
We can say it again tomorrow night, too. This is something no doubt will happen that'll be a first in a play-in situation. Defensively for Washington, Zeke, they've been a much better defensive team during this 15-5 stretch at the end of the regular season. Were you surprised that Scott Brooks didn't call for more double teams on Jayson Tatum?
Yeah, I was, particularly since Tatum was so hot. And not only was he so hot, but he was finding the mismatch every time he wanted to with different screening roles. And then he would take smaller players into the post. And whenever they came to double team him, he would shoot over the double team because they were double teaming with smaller players. So definitely, with Tatum being as hot as he was, you could have asked Brooks if he would, double team, take the ball out of his hands. But then again, they had a scheme. They wanted to stick to their scheme. Didn't pay off. And Tatum went for 50 tonight.
He missed 18 shots. He was efficient. 50 on 32 shots is pretty good. He missed 18 shots, but I would say very few of those were because of Wizards defenders in front of him.
Just missed the shots, man.
Welcome in to Celtics Postgame Live, presented by your New England Ford dealers. I'm Abby Chin. He is Brian Scalabrine. The final score, the Celtics beat the Wizards 118-100. Scal, this was a 2-point game at the half. Celtics were down. What happened?
They spread the floor. They let the guys go to work. They did a great job of moving the basketball. Tatum started making shots. Walker started making shots. I love the way that they played. I love the game plan coming out of the half by really spacing it out. Tristan Thompson did a great job of replacing Rob Williams, always prepared, to catch the ball if those guys drove. And at the end of the day, it came down to you give Jayson Tatum one-on-one coverage or space to work, the guy's going to go off on you.
17 for 17 from the free throw line. Absolutely perfect. But, Scal, the number that stands out to me was that he got there 17 times.
Yeah, I mean, he got downhill all night. And like I said before, if you have space to work, he's really tough to stop. And he was attacking. And when things weren't going well in the first half, he was attacking. And I think that was the key. He missed a few shots early, but the fact that he got to the free throw line, got to the rim, when he attacks, he is a tough guy to stop. That's why all year long we sometimes we beg, and I know the Celtics have been up and down all year, but when Jayson Tatum is getting downhill, I don't know which team's out there unless they have an unreal shot blocker at the rim, and then the Celtics don't do their job spacing the floor. You can't stop Tatum one-on-one.
Let's bring in Chris Mannix now of Sports Illustrated, although I don't know if they're going to want to claim him after this. Chris, you like the Wizards in great fashion, calling for a huge second half from Russell Westbrook. Neither happened.
Russell Westbrook has been one of the best players in the NBA over the last 2 months. This was one of the worst games I've ever seen played by Russell Westbrook, where nothing was working for him. He was picking up offensive fouls. He was missing layups. He was committing turnovers. I mean, this was one of the worst clunkers Russell Westbrook has submitted in his playoff career. That takes nothing away from what Jayson Tatum did, the shots Kemba Walker made, the play of Tristan Thompson, as Scal alluded to, really stepping in and playing an enhanced role with Robert Williams out. But wow, what a stinker from Russell Westbrook, who had been awesome for the previous 2 months.
What did Jayson Tatum show you in this game, Chris?
I mean, gravitas in that moment. I mean, not every player is built to step up and make plays in those types of situations. I'm not exactly sure what Washington's defensive strategy was in this game. They kept throwing one-on-one defenders at Tatum and not forcing the ball out of his hands, or at least making him think a little bit. And as Scal noted, if you put one guy on Jayson Tatum, he is going to beat you. He's just that good on the offensive end of the floor. So, look, Tatum shot a somewhat low percentage in the first half. He came out in the second half and really keyed that surge that changed the course of the game. They were, down 2 going into halftime? Yeah. And within 4 minutes of the third quarter, they had a 13-point lead. And that changed the game entirely. Jayson Tatum was the biggest part of that.
Scal, that was all part of a 17-2 run to open the third quarter. Was it just Jayson and Kemba coming alive, or were they doing something different offensively?
Spacing. They went. Tristan Thompson held the paint down, and they had guys spread out. And I think the Celtics should play like that all the time. They even went away from it in the fourth quarter. But when they spread you and they give Jayson Tatum room to work, or Kemba Walker coming off screens, or Evan Fournier getting catch and shoot opportunities, they're amazing offensively.
The veterans' perspective as we continue to bask in this game from Jayson Tatum. Proudly partnered with VA New England Healthcare. The fastest way for veterans, their spouses, and caregivers to get vaccinated is to enroll in VA Healthcare. Call 844-VA-CARES. That's 844-VA-CARES. And this is Jayson Tatum's third 50-point game of the season. It comes in the play-in game, arguably the most important game of the season thus far. And Mannix, just to put this into perspective, according to Dick Leip, Celtics with multiple 50-point games, Larry Bird has 4, Jayson Tatum now has 3.
I mean, at one point, Tatum had 45% of the Celtics' points. I numbers like that I hadn't seen before. At least you see very rarely in the NBA. It was just a transcendent performance. And we spent part of the pregame show talking about that in LeBron James and Paul Pierce. Now, the stakes weren't quite as high in this one. It wasn't an elimination game necessarily. It certainly wasn't a game 7 in a conference semifinals. But this was a critical game for the Celtics, who didn't want to have to go and win another game to get in, just to face the top seed in the Eastern Conference. And Tatum stepped up. And look, he's going to have a lot of pages on his resume before his career is over, but I think I'm going to remember this one. This performance against Washington in a not a must win, but a big win for the Celtics.
The crazy part to me, Scott, we were talking about this in the newsroom. We are going to have to remember it because these points, they go nowhere. They're not part of the regular season tally. They're not part of the postseason tally. It just lives in our memory.
Well, I mean, somebody will say.
Somewhere in a book? It's going to say?
They'll be the play-in.
The first play-in game?
I know Jayson Tatum is the greatest play-in player ever. I know that. Wait.
We can say that with confidence right now.
Did the guy have a big game last year in the play-in? Wasn't there a play-in situation last year?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, in the bubble. That was in the bubble, though. Everything is different in the bubble. So here is the play-in bracket for the Eastern Conference. The Celtics get the win. That means they will be the 7th seed going into the playoffs. They will face off against the Nets, which we will preview here tonight on Celtics Postgame Live. But the Wizards fall, and they will have to play the Pacers, who absolutely killed the Hornets earlier tonight. But Chris, do you think this performance by Jayson Tatum, and I think what's really too bad about it, and Scott, we talked about this as well, is that ballots are already in for the All-NBA teams. I mean, this was a huge argument for him and his position in the league, I think.
Yeah, Scal, if you want to know who's keeping track of playing statistics, Drew Hanlon, I'm sure, has them handy. Like, he's got them. He's good to go.
For you guys that don't know who Drew Hanlon is, he's Jayson Tatum's trainer. And Chris is 100% accurate. Drew Hanlon is all in on Jayson Tatum in the play-in, and he'll make sure everybody knows about it.
I asked Scal if he thinks Drew was wearing like one of those half jerseys that the parents wear, the Currys, you know, he's got half green, half Wizards, or he's got beat 'em across the back. Came up with that by myself, Chris.
Drew Hanlon, he tweeted out, like, all the reporters that didn't have Jayson Tatum, third team, are on the All-NBA teams. You'll be eating your words or something like that. I had Jayson Tatum on my, like, he has had his best season, and I think he deserves a spot on that team.
Did you really? You did have him, you put him in third? Over who?
LeBron.
Really? Chris Mannix.
Not enough games.
Tatum did play almost every game. And he put up points near the end of games sometimes.
Yeah, I think our producer's telling us they want to go to the Nets.
You want to talk about the Nets?
Yeah, we want to talk about the Nets.
All right, the Celtics, game 1 against the Nets. It is Saturday at 8 p.m. We will have an hour-long pregame live for you. But, Scal, give me a preview right now.
I don't want to give you a preview right now. Can we bask in the glory of us winning this game?
You just took us to the Nets, and now you don't want to go there.
It's not me, Abby. It's the person in my ear.
I heard it.
You're telling me to go to the Nets, and I don't want to talk about. I want to celebrate Jayson Tatum because I don't want people to get mad at me for talking about the Nets. Today is the day.
All right, Mannix,
I'm trying to survive in advance. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to survive in advance.
The one thing you can say about Brooklyn is that if they're successful this postseason, they will be paradigm breakers. They will be the exception to every rule. Conventional wisdom says that you need a full training camp and a full season with your team together to win a championship. The Nets have had like 7 games with their top 3 guys playing together. Conventional wisdom says you've got to be right around a top 10 defensive team to win a championship. The Nets finished the season 23rd, and at times they were every bit as bad as that 23rd rating would suggest. So it's hard to figure out this Brooklyn team. They're going to give up a lot of points. The guys around them aren't necessarily great, but they've got 3 guys that can destroy you in the fourth quarter. Scal, if you make any list of the top 5 fourth quarter scorers in the NBA, the Nets probably have 3 of them. And that's a dangerous weapon in the postseason.
So the reality of all the things that Chris said is true, but the NBA has changed so much now that you can just have elite fourth quarter scorers and end up winning a championship because of it. You don't have to have a training camp because basically everyone goes one-on-one. Guys don't call plays anymore. So the game has changed so much that just having the best offensive players is just good enough.
Both of you are talking about winning a championship, though. We're talking about round 1 against the Boston Celtics. And one thing I do want to say, though, Chris, you're right, in that the Nets don't have any Ubuntu. They do have Sage, so.
Yeah.
I couldn't. You went in and out there, so I heard something about the Nets. My thought is that just generally about our team, where we are as we get ready for the Nets, is it's really hard to make the NBA playoffs. And I just told our guys in there, everybody's path is different, and every year presents unique challenges, sometimes more than others. And we've been through a lot, and so we're hardened in a lot of ways, right? We're, we've been backs against the wall most of the year. And to have to play tonight, to get into the playoffs, just to earn the right to play probably the most talented team that's been assembled since I've been in the NBA. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of togetherness. And it takes staying together through tougher times. We'll get ready for Brooklyn starting on Thursday when we get back together. We know that challenge is, those guys are the best of the best. And, going into that, if I'm a fan, and just a general fan of the NBA, I have a hard time seeing them lose. So we're going to have to play great. We're going to have to play great together. And, we're going to have to be really, really sound on both ends of the floor.
Mark Murphy.
Hey, Brad, it seemed that you went up against a great Hayes team tonight with some terrific pace of your own. Can you just talk about how you
Lost that lead, and it went to 6 or 8 for them. But we stayed together again, and the run at the end of the first half was big. The run at the start of the third quarter was great. Again, we just haven't had those guys playing together much. My biggest fear coming into this game, Mark, was familiarity. We're playing against a super hot team that really moves the ball up in transition, but our Friday practice and our practice yesterday were probably the two best we've had all year, and largely because we had 16 guys, or 14 on Friday and 16 yesterday. So we need to get Rob healthy. He needs to get back. I was encouraged by the way that we played and the way that we got back for the most part. Ish Smith put us on skates, but he puts everybody on skates a few times. But I thought we did a pretty good job.
John Browse.
Yeah, Brett, was that a turf toe thing that Rob, did he aggravate that? And what's up with Marcus Smart's ankle?
Marcus twisted his ankle, came right back, played the rest of the game. So he'll probably be sore tomorrow. But I have a weird feeling, John, that he'll be ready for practice Thursday, knowing Marcus. And then Rob hyperextended that toe, I guess. So he felt it pretty good. He tried to come back and play, and just get treatment, and we'll see what happens. But not enjoyable.
Harry Washburn.
Hey, Brad. You needed this kind of game from Jayson, and what went through managing his minutes? He was keeping seated after all those long TV timeouts until the last possible second just to get rest. And what does it say about him to bring this kind of performance against obviously Gil, but a team that had been so hot, and he just seemed unstoppable?
Yeah, he's really good about the minutes in the playoffs in the last couple of years, Gary. We've gotten really used to trying to get him to sit right around those media timeouts that we know are coming, so that he can get as much rest as possible and sit for as long as possible and steal minutes that way. I was nervous at halftime because we had to use those 2 timeouts with guys down, because usually you try to also use them at the critical times in the third and fourth quarter to rest. Or get at least a blow and a drink of water. So he does a good job. He's smart about it, and he's going to play over 40 a lot. Let's put it that way.
Keith Smith.
Brad, what does it mean that young guys like Romeo Langford and Aaron D. Smith can kind of hang in there all year, but then come in and make a big impact in a game like that?
Well, I think you saw both those guys had decent weekends. Romeo in particular was good against New York, but it's a lot easier to be good when you're surrounded by our best players. It's just easier to play a role. And I thought Romeo played his role well tonight. I thought Aaron did some good things, but I thought Romeo was really good in that stretch. And Romeo's big and long and can challenge shots and guard the best players. And so, it's why you keep throwing him in there even as he's struggling and coming back from the injury and coming back from COVID all year. And we've said all year, our only chance was to get healthy at the right time. And we're not, because Jalen's obviously out. But if we can get Rob back and we can get a good week or a good couple days of prep, then again, it'll be a fun challenge to go up against the best.
Jared Weiss.
Obviously, Jayson had a great scoring night, but one of the big things was that he just was never really forcing the bad shots. He either could get to the line or make the right pass, whether it was a dump off or a kick out. I mean, just how vital has his evolution as a playmaker and just a good rim read player been for you guys?
Well, we did a better job spacing around him, and I thought he did a better job of reading a couple of those doubles and run-ats. I mean, he was really aggressive early, but he missed a few on Lynn as he drove it deep. And, I thought you could tell he was anxious to have a good night. It was really important to our guys to play well. Again, I give our guys a ton of credit. It has not always been roses, right? And they've had to answer a bunch of stuff, and it has been hard missing people all year. And our guys have just stayed with it, and they've just stuck together. And if they wouldn't have, you wouldn't have seen them play like they did tonight, right? There was a great kind of renewed sense of, okay, we have more guys, we have a lot of things that we can do, and let's play our best on both ends. We didn't quite do that, but we played a lot better than we played. And so I give our guys a ton of credit for that. And Jason's obviously the leader of it. I saw what he said earlier today. He's right on. He can lead by not saying a word. He can lead by example, and he can lead the way he did tonight.
Reds take on matchup against the 2 seed in the Brooklyn Nets and that guy, Kyrie Irving. Scal, you didn't want to talk about this, so Mannix, I'm going to start with you.
No, I'll talk about it, but go ahead and start with Chris anyway.
The Celtics have come full circle. They started against the Nets in the preseason, and that is when Kyrie saged TD Garden. Why they let him do that, I don't know. But here we are now, and it's a different Nets team than the one the Celtics saw then, but they have been dominant against the Celtics this season, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kyrie said he does that sage thing all the time. No, he doesn't. No. He does not do that all the time. He did that in Boston for a specific reason. But look, Kyrie in the games he has played has been outstanding this year. I had a lot of questions about how Kyrie would fit alongside James Harden. Now, credit to James Harden, he has accepted more of a playmaker role when he has been paired with Kyrie. But if you look at the games those two have played together, they have been excellent. And Kyrie had right around that 50, 40, 90 mark this season, which is a percentage all players hope for. He really was excellent all season long. So there's no reason to believe why Kyrie won't be brilliant, at least offensively, in this series against Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Chris on this one. I thought the same thing. Like, we've seen Kyrie firsthand. And, I was with a team that won a championship. I went to 4 NBA finals. I just didn't think he had what it takes. I know the NBA is so different, but I was completely wrong by him. He's so offensively gifted, which we already knew. But the fact that he makes big shots and he makes people around him better, and he has no problem playing without Kevin Durant and James Harden. So, no, I mean, Kyrie is it's going to be a problem for sure for the Celtics.
No, the problem is, Scal, the post-game daps and hugs and love that the Celtics...
we can't argue with the players that they all do that now. I know he stuns them and stuff like that, but I guess they're all right with that. They're the ones going up to him getting hugs. What are we going to say?
He's the one afterwards saying, you guys think my teammates don't like me.
I mean, with Kyrie calling the media pawns and all that stuff, I think, don't we, and we did it when he was here. You just got to ignore all of that and just watch him and enjoy him as a player. I fought it I fought it this year. I'm like, what are you taking personal? You know what? When he plays, he's really good to watch. He's really fun. I think he impacts winning. And so you just got to accept him for that. I don't like all that other stuff either, but it is what it is. Special handshakes and stuff like that. I mean, he piled on LeBron And then right after the game, he gave him a special handshake. So it is what it is.
Chris, I still think it's maddening, and I don't want to see it.
Well, I mean, quite frankly, I don't care. I mean, like, he can say whatever he wants about the media. It doesn't change our job. And look, you can try to rewrite history about him and his teammates. Everybody that covered that team, was around that team, know there were significant issues in that locker room, especially in that second season between Kyrie and several of the younger players there. But, not the first time not the first time a player has had problems with teammates, a star player. Not the first time a star player has had a problem with a head coach. It is what it is. What Kyrie's done is moved on and been excellent with the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, I thought one of the biggest issues I thought was going to come up with Kyrie and James Harden is that Kyrie has been very clear that he wanted to control his own destiny in the offseason he left Boston. He agreed to come to Brooklyn to play with Kevin Durant. He didn't agree to come to Brooklyn to play with Kevin Durant and James Harden. Now, you might say, well,
because not only is he capable of it, but it also doesn't, increase the burden on Kemba and Jayson to have to feel like they're doing it every time down the floor. So there's going to be opportunities where in the next, in this series where you've got to have both Marcus handle it some and do some of that, and Evan handle it some and do some of that.
All right, we'll wrap it right there. Thanks.
Brad Stevens and the Celtics off to play the Brooklyn Nets in a series that'll begin this weekend after beating Washington 118-100. Wizards still have some work to do to get into the field of 8 in the Eastern Conference. They've got Indiana coming up Thursday night on their home floor, but you got to wonder about Beal and Westbrook and their health moving forward. Let's hear from head coach Scott Brooks.
You guys have been able to kind of work your way out of tough situations all year. What was it about their run at the start of the third that looked like it shaked you a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do a good job in our coverages, and they got some good looks from the 3-point line and made them, and we couldn't find it. We couldn't find the basket throughout the game on the threes. We haven't shot well all year, but we're not a 3 for 21 3-point shooting team. They outplayed us. They played it. I thought in that second quarter, I think we were at 8, and they made it the run to close it to 2. A couple of breaks could have gone our way. I thought they got to the loose ball quicker than us. They played better than us tonight.
And rarely can you say a guy has 20 and 12 but looks off, but Russ looked like he was off rhythm tonight. What did you see from him?
Yeah, he didn't shoot the ball well. He didn't get into a nice rhythm. I thought we had opportunities to get more opportunities on the line, but we didn't get there. I mean, particularly Brad, 25 shots and 2 free throws. We haven't shot the ball well from 3, but normally when that happens, we can still manage to keep it competitive by getting to the free throw line, and that wasn't the case tonight.
Yeah. Scott, Tatum's a great player, obviously, and he got it going. And I know Rui getting in foul trouble didn't help you there. How difficult is it to single him up and not bring doubles, knowing that opens them up for threes?
Yeah, I mean that's the pick your poison. I thought he was making some tough shots. We put him on the free throw line. I mean, he almost shot more free throws than us. It's too many. Rui got some tough calls against them, quick ones, and so he didn't get into a rhythm either on the offensively or defensively. And we tried a few different things. We tried to trap them. They swung it around for wide open threes and they knocked them in. So he's a great player. He's not a great young player. He's a great player. He's going to be an MVP in this league soon.
Fred.
Hey, Scott. What did you think of the looks you guys were 3 for 21 from 3? What did you think of the looks you guys were?
I don't know if, obviously I'll look at the film after the game, but, watching it, I thought there were some really, really good ones early. I thought all of our shooters had a good look to start their offensive game, and they didn't make it. So, but they'll bounce back. We'll bounce back. We worked our butts off to be in this position, to have a home court, to get ourselves into the playoffs, and looking forward to it. Well, I know Indiana played well tonight, and they've been playing well. But it's a great opportunity for us to go back to our home court and reboot and play much better. We're going to have to shoot the ball better. I don't think we're going to have another bad shooting night. I thought the looks were pretty good. I know there were some of them late, probably weren't as good, but at that point we were scrambling just to try to generate some threes.
And is Russell?